Pyette. I'm originally from southwestern Virginia. Always lived in central Appalachia, pretty much. Quilting is an incredibly important part of Indigenous culture and sharing of both craft and story. I think that story is such an important part of quilting because as you're completing the quilt, it's an opportunity to be sharing stories and passing them down and engaging in like generational sharing. Star quilts are what my culture does and makes, and they're these big beautiful stars in the middle of the quilt that have many pieces and are often kind of a ombre effect of the colors. They're beautiful and kind of complicated and take a really, really long time. But there's just something so magical about seeing one and knowing all of the intent that was put into it, and like the lessons that are being passed down during the making of it. Like, I know one of my friends was telling me that when she made her first star quilt, that was the first time that her grandmother told her about the 7 generations principle, which is that we believe that everything you do, you have to plan 7 generations ahead. So you have to plan for 7 generations to be well and to have what they need. So you pray not just for your children or your grandchildren, but you pray for 7 generations forward that those people are going to be okay and they're going to have everything they need. And you think about, what do you need to make that world work? So like the people who vision your society in Native culture are the women making the quilt. And that's just really cool and really beautiful.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Have you quilted yourself?
I have. I'm not very good at it, but I have like taken part. And
so the quilting is something that you see in your culture being handed down from generation to generation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great. See, and I see that missing in our community. I see that missing. My question is, how do we get our young people interested? How do we get our young people interested in this part of sharing history? Because that's what happens when you come together.
Yeah.
You share history.
Yeah.
It's something about that when you come in and you're working on these quilts and all of a sudden you're sharing history.
Yeah.
And
there's so
stories.
much that, like, I think craft in communities, like, it has so much potential to be healing. Like, we call it good medicine in Indigenous culture. Like, so many things can be medicine, and things like beading and quilting are good medicine to us because it's this almost sacred time where you can just be sitting, and in that repetition there is space for so much, and like we don't give ourselves space for those things, that like communing that we need, that all the generations need, you know, that like the young people are hungry and hurting for, they don't know they are. But like they miss if they don't have it. And
So 1.5, 2.5, and 3.5, right? 1.5.
You get started on that.
2.5. That's exactly what it is. And 3.5. Yeah. So if we cut them the exact strip,
Yep,
then
it saves you time.
it saves time because we can't use can't strip it out like that. So,
Okay.
all right. So let me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 20. I gotta reposition all these arrays back where they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
That son's a little cricket. I was telling them it's the crafters version of the beauty shop.
Yes, the beauty shop was like that. The
Yeah.
barber shop was like that for men.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And just the little store, my husband said, he grew up out in the country and they would go to a little store.
Like a general store.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
they knew everybody, not
Yeah.
to
Because, you
buy
had
anything.
you had the
Yeah.
shoe shiner out front,
Yeah.
so everybody would sit out there and they talk,
Yeah.
Press it on there, but when you put it on there, lay it on there like this face up, you can't press that down on there because this is the sticky part. So we had to trim those. This entire event has I grew up watching my mother sew, and she would make crafts, she would make clothes, and she'd have me help her iron and things like that. But I never really did anything until I was in high school. Took a home ec class, and my teacher could tell that I had helped my mom. Everybody knew my mom sewed and everything, so they knew that I had helped her. They could tell. And then I have always made clothes, but not crafts. I've never made a quilt before, but I've always watched my mom and helped her. And so this class, I really haven't sewn since before COVID, and I made a lot of masks for everybody, and that's practically what I was doing all day long. But
So what you're wanting to do is mark it to cut it into a square.
as
like
far
this.
as actually
So,
doing
first
it
you're gonna have to stitch these.
like I used to,
Uh,
I haven't been able to do that because I've been kind of busy doing other things. But this class coming here, this workshop, has kind of relit that flame. And I've always said I wanted to make a quilt, at least one. And so this will actually be my first one. And it's kind of got me back into the desire to sew and actually do more crafts. So yeah, this has been a lot of fun and fun getting back into sewing and fellowshipping and meeting new people, and this is a good shop, a good place for people to come, ladies to come and just hang out and fellowship and have fun sewing together. So now, when I realize I have free time, this is where I want to be. I want to try to get here, and if I can't get here, then I'm kind of like, darn, disappointed, because I don't like. Once I start something, especially something like this, that's real tedious and can be time consuming, I don't like to quit. I like to just keep going until I can get it done, and I haven't been able to do that. So I've been dying to get back down here.
Is this your first quilt? Right?
This will be my first.
What do you anticipate? Feelings wise?
A feeling of accomplishment. Proud of myself, for actually going through every step and trying to figure it out, because I'm not going by a pattern. It's all out of my head as I go along, just making it up. So, and just from conversation. The vision for it came from a conversation we had, so to see it come to fruition will be pretty gratifying. So, yeah, and this right here is the most time-consuming and tedious part. It takes a lot of thought, and and I feel like it's kind of my part of the quilt, because even though we've had other suggestions and so forth, but nobody else saw this like I did. So I feel like I have to be the one to do it. But I get a little help here and there doing some other things. But actually putting it together, laying it out, I'm the one that had the vision. So I feel like I have to do it. So let's see. So I've got to count my rays and make sure they're
Like here's
consistent
a little
and
thing on
even
the
on
side.
each side.
So
And
that, go ahead and run that down. Go ahead and do that if you want.
I'm still trying to figure out how we'll put this
Here we
down.
have to lower the piece of the plate.
There's a lot to it here, so we got here.
Yep, and you
Here.
can
When I was in high school, it was my freshman year. You know, everybody has to take homework,
The needles, the lines
and
that are
we had to
dotted,
make
that's for,
pants or a skirt
filling your
or
bobbin.
top,
So that's what you follow
some kind of top.
when you fill your bobbin.
And I
So
chose to
let's
make
not even think
pants.
about that.
I made them really
Let's
good,
just
really
do
quick,
your threading
sturdy.
your
They weren't going to
needle,
come
which is the
apart,
solid
but they were
arrow.
tight.
Okay, this goes
And we
this
had to
way,
wear them to school.
This way, now see that arrow
They were
goes
tight.
down. Then it comes,
See,
see
skinny
this
yellow.
little, oops, I hit that by mistake. See that little loop that goes up there with the arrow on the end?
I was so glad to get those pants
see
off
that?
after school.
Okay, Okay, now, let's run your, there's a little thingy here. Run that up. It's just a matter of bringing the thread there in. Now, when you get to that next needle, let's take it out before you, yeah, there you go. Yeah, before you get to it. There you
Wait,
go.
we don't want steam. This doesn't have steam on it, does it, Pam?
Not unless you press a button.
Okay.
Go. Yep, that's it.
You want me to bring
Just pull it down?
Yep.
back and over here, maybe, make sure we put it on right. and
Well,
whatever.
at
Let
least
you
I got
roll.
another
Yeah.
one, so.
All right, let's,
It
now
has
here's your
this,
power
the
pin, so
interface,
we
and
don't
it has
lose
a
them. We
sticky
can
side.
wait there or bring
That's
them
the
over.
part that goes
Okay.
against the fabric.
Now we'll go
Against
cut
the
that,
back.
we'll go cut this.
Oh, okay.
The wrong side
The
of the
wrong
fabric.
side, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is so new to me, and it's so exciting. It's just exciting just to be a part of it, and I just thank God that Pastor Emily invited me to come because I wasn't around quilting. The quilts that we seen as children were already made by our grandparents or whatever, but we wasn't around the quilting part of it. And to be here to learn how the history, the stories behind the quilts. I love it. I can't wait. I couldn't wait to come get back down here, although I was late, but I couldn't wait to get back down here to see the finished product.
Isn't that
To
beautiful?
see something
Jackie?
from start to finish, that's a thrill. I'm thinking, what are these young
You keep
women
working on
missing?
that, and then I'll iron your
Yeah.
square.
What are they missing? It's beautiful. I'm just happy to be a part of it and learn. Learn.
How do you think you feel once it's finished?
Oh my goodness. It's gonna be so. I'll probably be like a child in a candy store when it's finished. To see something that I seen from start to finish, I've never experienced that. So you're looking at someone that's never experienced seeing a quilt actually being cut, started, ironed, stitched together, and the finished product. I've never seen that. So I'll be like a child in a candy store. Just to be a little part of it. It's
I
exciting.
think I need one on this side.
2.5.
Do I have a 2.5
2.5?
strip in the basket? Oh, in the basket.
I didn't.
That's a 3.5.
Emily, and let her press them on.
Yeah.
And I'll get these ready.
So you can just lay all those there. She'll put them on, and you can take them.
Well, we're gonna run out.
We'll have to
It's
cut
okay,
some
we'll cut more interfacing.
Okay.
It's right there.
She's gonna put them on, and you can walk it over to Em.
We'll have to, once we I would say you don't want to do it until you're raised or
Yeah.
finished. So then you can be like, okay, it's this wide and we need to add this
Yeah.
much to it.
Now, we've got all kinds of that African material on there that you can use, or if you find something in here, it's totally up to you. But there's so much of that we haven't used yet. Where is
Right.
that? Great.
It's right up here.
Oh, yeah. And some of it's really,
No, since we keep still going, we're gonna make another quilt.
yeah.
This
Well,
is always the thing.
Yeah. That could just make it easy.
Right, you know.
So what I would do
It's
is
still not very
measure
good.
this piece and cut your bottom water piece that same size.
I usually, put my mouth up because I'm on a public, machine that other people use. And I always bring my threads back here just to get them out of the way. Make sure that's longer.
I love it.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about it?
Sewing and meeting people. I love meeting people, though. I'm so glad that Sister Emily came to my house and told me, that she was going to have this workshop like that so I could come and help because I need something done. And I always like to sew too, so I want to make a quilt. I've started, but I never get to finish it. But this time I'm going to try to finish it.
How do you think you'll feel once you're done?
Oh, I feel good then when I get done. Feel like I've done something too.
And then we'll have water at the bottom. And there's a sky. There's a sky.
You don't see much of the sky because of the sun rays.
Oh, okay. So this will be real nice when it's finished.